Project at Jumani Field Office as a climate change assistant. My snowball is, let us think the crisis and then act. This is a take home from one of the members present yesterday. I think from his understanding or perspective, it is better to understand the crisis we are dealing with, then we act accordingly. Thank you.
The next snowball.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Adventino Banja. The snowball paper I have reads, there is an urgent need to strengthen efforts in localizing the already existing natural, regional, and international laws, regulations, and policies, because enforcement of such policies involves a lot of social costs on the people it is enforced on. So this is an emphasis on the legal frameworks at national, regional, and global levels, and the need to strengthen them in the fight against climate change. Thank you.
Thank you. The next snowball from that table.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Godfrey Ogena, and I work with the Jesuit Refugee Service. So the snowball I have reads, home is the place where you feel most comfortable, irrespective of the location, whether we cross borders or not. Thank you.
Thank you. The next one, I can see Esther is getting ready with hers.
Good morning. My name is Tim Esther. I work with the Refugee Law Project as the Field Office Coordinator based in Adjumani. The snowball I have reads, we need to act now on climate change and not later. The second one reads, women are impacted more negatively by climate change compared to the men. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther. Move to the next table. Fortunately, we had only 30 minutes. It's interesting. We can see how to wind up. David will help us with time.
And I think as the moderator, I'm having the last snowball, which is also a very important message. We need a combination of individual action and systemic change. What's the best way to wind up the snowball? A combination of individual action and systemic change.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for participating in this recap. I hand you back to David Simba.
Thanks so very much, Howard. It was a very innovative way to recap. I think you are also a pedagogist specialist, in addition to just being concerned with forced migration. You're also concerned with how to teach us forced migration. The best way to recall, and I think if I'm to act as a professor, everyone has passed here. It was a very good group of astute students and good learners. No retake, no supplementary, it is 70 and above. I'm so glad that day one was not really a wasted day. Day one was a very reflective one, and we can tell from the recap the amount of sense which you went with home, you ruminated over, and now you are coming back again with more refreshing insights. I want to welcome those who have just joined in. You are very much welcome, and we are in for the business. We have had a very wonderful recap, which really reiterates the importance of having this conversation and having it beyond this room. Day two is a logical continuation. And we are going to start ourselves off with our documentary screening as a way of curtain raising and giving us a very nice appetizer for a yet insightful conversation on climate change, forced migration, and the nexus between the two. So we, without much delay, we are catching up with our time. I want to invite our very own acting head of Media for Social Change, Mr. Shafiq Opinyi, to take us through the apocalyptic fuel, the title of the documentary we are going to screen. All the lights are going to be off, and I will urge that we bring all our attention to the screen now. Thank you.
Thank you, the moderator. Good morning, everyone. Just like I was introduced, Oping Shafiq is my name, but I was given a very big position that I am not. I am a video advocacy officer with the Refugee Law Project. I'm not the head of Media for Social Change. I just wanted to correct that. To begin with, I just wanted to also share my snowball. This will take me into what I'll be introducing to you. My snowball says, the laws and frameworks are there, but where is the action? And this is what we discussed yesterday. There's some participants and the people who were here to deliberate told us, where is the action? Does it begin with you or it begins with the community? And what I got yesterday is it begins with you. I just wanted to share that. And my job here is just very simple. I'm going to just introduce a film that we're going to watch. It's a 22-minute film, and it will speak for itself. I'm not going to make a presentation. The film is going to make my presentation. Just to introduce the film, it's titled Apocalyptic Fuel. And this film highlights the complex issues surrounding the fast-growing deforestation in the post-conflict northern Uganda. We all know that northern Uganda suffered over 2 decades of war. That was between the LRA and the government of Uganda. And the communities suffered there. And to add on to salt on to injury, we had the refugee influx that came in because our brothers and sisters had conflicts in South Sudan. So that also brought in injury to the whole mix of the situation in northern Uganda. So this film highlights the situation that is in northern Uganda, and it depicts particularly issues in Lamo district, Gulu district, and it generally covers the whole of northern Uganda, but with particular emphasis on Lamo and Gulu district. Just to mention what the film asks, and I'll just pose these questions. While we watch the film, can we try to see if these questions are answered? The first question is, are refugees causing environmental degradation, or are the hosts using refugees as a convenient scapegoat to hide behind? That is the first question. The second question that the film tries to answer is it poverty that drives charcoal making, or it's greed? The third question is it true that the charcoal industry is a man's world? The fourth question that the film tries to answer is, are Uganda's regulatory bodies part of the solution or part of the problem? While we're watching this film, I want us to see if it really answers some of these issues. Then, while we open up the discussion, I'll just pose 3 more questions while we're answering or trying to comment. The first question that will come from me, not from the film, would be, how will the film make you feel? I just want to get the emotional appeal that you'll get from the film. And they are very different. People may feel happy, angry, they may feel sad. So I just want to get that emotional appeal that you get from the film. Then the second question from me would be, are these visual realities? Because yesterday there were participants and the panel here that told us that these are visual realities. They are not hidden realities. We can see them, but some people just ignore and put them aside. So are these visual realities depicted in the film, and do we witness them in our communities? Because like I said, this film kind of dives into the areas of Lamu and Gulu. But in our various communities, do we see some of these issues coming up? Then the third and last would be, what are some of the recommendations that we can bring to table? Because we're trying to call to action. So let's watch the film. Like I said, it's 22 minutes. My colleague will play it, and please, let's have the curtains drawn and the lights off. Thank you. Then we shall, from there we shall have commentary and the plenary. Thank you.
Uganda could lose much of its forests by 2050 because of the growing demand for charcoal.
Uganda, over 90% of the population still cook on open fires.
Danger, and the whole world knows its danger. It is very dangerous to the environment.
One can go where we no chain and no end food, to my kid with no chain and kid. She don't wear one now away, but don't yet, or one maca,
It's everywhere, and look at how they've left this land bare. They are cutting everything. And the worst part of it is that they are cutting even shana trees.
Yes, the charcoal you found us burning. When burning, we cut down big trees. We then cut them into small logs. Then we pile them up, just as you found us doing. Then we set it on fire. When it is burned, we open it up, then put them in sacks. After that, we take to the roadside for sale so that we get money, which can support us in paying for children's school fees, for buying pens, for buying books, for buying soap, for buying other essentials like salt, clothes for our children, and also for us adults. For us to get money here, we have to go and dig. In a year, we get money once. That's why we resorted to cutting trees so that we burn charcoal, which can bring money in our hands quickly.
Always, I tell my children from school to work very hard because life does not only depend on white collar jobs, as others do say. So I also believe like that. I'm doing this kind of work as my part-time because my real work is teaching during the working days. Although this work is dirty, but I'm doing it to supplement on my salary. Yeah, which needs your mind to be creative, getting other results that can help you.
There is indiscriminate tree cutting going on. When you look at these trees that have been cut down, they are doing this for charcoal, and they are doing it indiscriminately, burning the trees to turn the trees into charcoal. And they have covered, so this is the process of burning. But there are so many of these, and you can see right there, another one is being burned. It's everywhere. And look at how they've left this land bare. They are cutting everything. And the worst part of it is that they are cutting even Shiana trees. This is a very painful experience that we are seeing here. The magnitude of destruction is extremely unbearable. I can confidently inform you that almost 50% of our forest cover has been destroyed within a short period of time. Take a look back and see the time people were returning from the camps. The forest cover was beautiful. And destruction started immediately people returned to the villages. So many business people, especially from Kampala and the outside district, in central Uganda and eastern, so many business people started coming. And they would go to the villages, compromise people, first to make them believe they are going to provide quick money for them. And these business people are taking advantage of the poverty level. And they want our people to believe that the little they are going to give can make them live to another day, not knowing that in the long run it's going to be severe.
Because we have a lot of challenges facing us. The food we do is limited, and also the place where we get our food have been transferred from far places. So if you need transport, then you go to bring your food, and And also the food, you will get it in free. So we have a lot of challenges, even the job. It's very difficult for us to get a job. This is the land I request from the host community. So they give me the land. Then the tree which I'm cutting, I use for the charcoal. Yeah, I went to host community. I have my colleague. I told him that come and show me the way the charcoal has been burned. Because I'm married. So my wife now she wants twins. So those twins, all the time they got some problem. Maybe I take them to the hospital. If not good in the hospital, I take them to clinic with that charcoal. If I get them signing from the charcoal.
With coming of the refugees in the district last year, around the month of April, we noted that the rate of charcoal burning increased. Why do I say this? There were so many improvements in the road network. The population grew up so highly, and we have trucks who go up the way up to Palabek-Ugili. Others use the other road going to Gulu via Palaro, and others come through Palabek. So along these roads, the people began serious charcoal burning activities, right from Palabek-Ugili up to the settlement camp. And then also the trend, it changed in December last year. The refugees themselves also began burning charcoal, including the host communities. So what I can say is that currently the charcoal burning is really on the rise. You find that you don't know who are burning more, because it's kind of like the business it has boomed. The charcoal rose from, it used to be like 10,000 shillings per bag, but right now as I talk, it is 20,000 shillings per bag from Palabek-Ugili. And this charcoal, most of them they are loaded and taken outside the district. Some go up to Kampala, Gulu, and the neighboring districts. So I must say that this price has really increased.
It is easy to think that it is because of an influx of refugees that northern Uganda is suffering a degradation of its environment. However, is it possible that the additional pressure put on the environment by influxes of refugees, while real, is also perhaps a smokescreen for other dynamics that are undermining environmental sustainability? When we asked those actually cutting down trees what their view of the impact was, it turned out they were very clear about its negative impact.
I know it's danger, and the whole world knows it's danger. It is very dangerous to the environment. One, when you make the charcoal, a lot of smokes goes up atmosphere. So it will break the condensation with the rainfall to come down. So the rate of rainfall will be reduced in all the places where charcoal making is always being practiced.
Cutting trees will make a lot of problems. If you're cutting the tree, it means that the rain is not going to fall. And also during the dry season, it means that the wind is too much in the area which I
In the past, we used to live well because the atmosphere was cool and also diseases were not many. But now that the trees have been cut down, the atmosphere is very hot. There are many diseases attacking us, including children. And also the children are being attacked by evil spirits because of the different tree species that have been cut down. You will hear a child who was normal all of a sudden shouts out loudly. So when you go to carry the child, you find the child so stiff. Nowadays, this is happening quite often. In the past, these sorts of things were not there at all.
People are suffering. That is why they are getting money from creative minds, like cutting trees, but instead they are not knowing the results of cutting trees.
It is not enough to simply spot the poverty. It is necessary to ask, who is feeding off this poverty? For when we look at what is involved in the whole process, from cutting through to sell, it turns out that the people doing the cutting are just at the bottom of the food chain. That involves a large amount of capital.
The kind of production that they are doing is really not sustainable, because we find that the kind of facilities they use for producing the charcoal kilns, they use the local methods where they just cover with soil. And then also the trees, once they harvest the trees, they cut it with the whole stem, in that there's no regrowth of these trees. There are some trees that used not to be cut, like the shea tree. Right now, they are cutting it. And this vice also, it increases as people even open their land for agricultural purposes. So you find that when they're opening their land, for example, in sim cultivation, most people have to clear the trees within the garden to ensure that the shades don't disrupt the seedlings. So you find that they cut whichever trees.
Uganda has laws that are intended to protect the environment, but there seems to be nothing that cannot be overcome by a bribe, including bribes to those charged with enforcing those laws. Ironically, it seems it is those in positions of leadership who are most often complicit in taking bribes to allow the rules to be broken. These bribes are worth paying and are factored into the cost of the whole process. Even with huge bribes along the way, the profits are so vast that it is well worth paying the bribes. The cost of charcoal at point of production is between 10 and 20,000 Ugandan shillings for a sack. The cost to the consumer in other parts of the country is between 60 to 100,000 Ugandan shillings for a sack.
So many police officers, so many, even politicians who are involved in this. Politicians starting from the lowest level. Even here in the sub-county, the chairman LC3, repeatedly we have got reports from the community that is involved in cutting logs and charcoal, and this has to stop.
The biggest challenge we have in this country is that people don't care about the law. I do not understand why Parliament of Uganda continues passing laws that are not taken seriously, laws that are not enforced. We have the National Environment Act, we have the National Forestry Act, we have different agencies of government. We have NEMA, we have the Ministry of Water and Environment, we have the police, we have the executive, we have Parliament, and it pains when we have got clear laws that should help us to do things rightly, and we just see things happen and we don't care. The weather pattern has become extremely unpredictable. Farmers are beginning to feel the real pinch of that. Last year, Oegeno Dam, which is the main source of the water we drink in town, for the first time in over, I don't know how many years, 50 years or so, for the first time it got dried off. And there was no water in Gulu for almost a month.
It was announced in the church by the catechist that there will be those from Refugees Law Project that are working upon planting of trees, such that in future times it can also benefit us like the community members. When the trees grow up well, it will help us in so many ways. For example, it will also bring for us rain, since trees also attract rain. Secondly, the branches, if they grow like
for firewood, branches I think can help.
1 feet deep and in diameter 2 feet. Then you must feed the soil. Then in the middle of the hole, you bring your seedling. Like this, upwards, because if you put down, it may damage the roots. Then you press in the middle of the hole. You bring soil across the seedling. You press the soil. That is Graveria robusta. The government of Uganda to look at options of subsidizing the energy prices. There are some community members who can use the gas and then also electricity. We should also
the theme of today. But we have to understand, you don't expect the people of Acholi to avoid cutting down trees. The index in Uganda actually ranks number 2 among the poorest regions in Uganda. Cutting down trees. We don't have industries in the area. In Uganda, we have less among job or job creation factors. We have in Amuru, we remember they are trying to put up a sugar plantation. The sugar plantation has not started. Many times the sugar plantations have been burnt down. Then what happened? Others argued that the land that should be for sugar plantation is now being used by the Balal for cattle rearing. This has brought a lot of anarchy in Acholi. A point should be noted. As we talk about climate change and we have ambassadors here, I think it is of urgency that the local stoves or the latest media like solar should be started to be provided in some of these poor places, because they could be accessed through solar, and also maybe with the creation of other jobs in the area as an alternative to the poverty levels. Remember, many of the families around Acholi, many lost their mothers, they lost their fathers. And the only venture left to them is the deforestation. Yes, you can be very emotional, very intimidated, but we know if a person has nothing to eat, even grass becomes something to be eaten by a human being. So the issue of poverty and also people to be taught, I think I agree that maybe if we can get communities where they can plant a forest, they are being paid. Instead of cutting the other trees, they are being paid. It becomes more of an income generating power. Then that way we shall change the normative or the narrative. I'm seeing a lot of swamps dying out in the region. All of this has been brought about climate change or the deforestation, which is more seen. And also we know in a place like Lamu has got around 80,000 refugees. When you go to Lamu, you could see there is a competition for land. What happens next? Trees will be cut down. You have the source of firewood to the refugees and to the local communities. Now, the question is, how far as a refugee project, how have you handled the peak of the key cutting? Thank you very much.
Thank you for that question. Refugee Law Project has actually brought the documentary to size, and one of the things is that documentary is the production of Refugee Law Project and the management of refugees in Uganda. First and foremost, falls squarely under the Department of Refugees in the Office of the Prime Minister, in conjunction with development partners and civil societies. They are all in the room and they're taking notes. Let's get the microphone moved. Yes, I will recognize hands here and we shall close down there.
Okay, thank you for the very interesting film. I would say I'm amused and yet not surprised by what we just went through in the film. One, because the former speaker spoke of the poverty level in the area. Our communities, most of them are impoverished, and we can't deny that. So what needs to